Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Copy Chats with me, Waylin again. Today I've got a new mic. I'm really happy about it. I'm going to use this to tell you in extra clear audio what's going on in the world today. So let's start. In the news is the Yayasan Wilayah Persekutuan, or the Federal Territories Foundation. They're members of parliament, notably Hannah Hio, star in the Malaysian political scene. She called for the abolishment of the Federal Territories Foundation, saying that, hey, the role and responsibilities of the YWP can be fulfilled by some other foundation for national welfare. I think it's called National Welfare Foundation. She says that this is a terrible foundation because it's vulnerable to corruption, because it is chaired by the Federal Territories Minister. See, there's explosive conflict of interest as Federal Territories Minister, and the KL Mayor are the foundation's chairman and trustee board member, respectively. So, you're the Federal Territories Minister, but you're also the chairman of the foundation, and the foundation and the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, have some interactions. I think in this case, referring specifically to purchase and sale of land. So that is a conflict of interest, and the Public Accounts Committee, which I believe is a parliamentary body, recommends the same. So, is this reasonable? Yeah, on the surface of it, sounds totally reasonable. And what was the response, though, from the Federal Territories Minister? My favorite minister for right now is Annuar Musa. He asked, somebody asked, why didn't you abolish the foundation when you were in power? Asked an NGO called Save KL, Deputy Chairman Mumtaz Ali. Actually, this is even better. So a third party, unrelated, just butts in and says, hey, you're such a hypocrite because you were the government before and you didn't abolish it. Why are you turning around and saying that it's a problem now? So totally understandable, very juicy. But if there's one thing that I hope that we can take away from this is that accusations of hypocrisy in politics are so mundane and ineffective. Nobody has ever changed their mind because they heard that, oh, the guy I support is a hypocrite. No. If I support someone and you tell me, oh, this person's a hypocrite, I might think, no, in this case, I think that they're being sincere. All the other times in the past, maybe, other people were not sincere. I mean, it's just not effective, independent of whether it's true or not. Like, we don't know whether it's true, but it doesn't work on the person you're telling it to. I don't think it's ever changed anybody's mind. So, because people will believe what they want to believe about, the person they support. They'll say that they're sincere. You may call them a hypocrite, but, it doesn't really work because I believe they're sincere. So it's just not very effective. But it is pretty interesting and fun to watch them argue. And this is my take. I think that the reason why it's never been reformed, like the foundation is there, it's been around since, I believe, something like 2011, maybe 2008. It's not that old. And I don't think that it really has that much of a difference because the foundation's role, nobody even mention the purpose of the foundation, which is to provide educational, technological, religious, economic support to the poor and needy in Kuala Lumpur. I checked it out on their homepage, and that's how I remember it. There are like five things that they focus on. And I don't think it doesn't look like it's a foundation that has a whole huge budget, that is very, very vulnerable to fraud. Now, I say that carefully because, in Malaysia, we have had problems, 1MDB, with fraud in the past. So we have to be very careful about that. But the foundation is not like one, with a huge endowment fund to invest all over the world. So very unlikely that it's a huge problem. So very more likely that this is politics as usual. Interestingly, this whole scandal came about, from this ongoing running feud on Twitter, in the media between Federal Territories Minister Anwar Musa and DAP's Sagambut Member of Parliament Hannah Yeoh. Hannah's been a very vocal critic of Anwar Musa, and Tan Sri Anwar Musa has not shied away from, and fully engaging with his critic. So latest salvo is, wah, yang Muhammad baru lahir, saya sudah bermastautin di KL. So Anwar Musa just doesn't hold back. And check it out. I have a nice little thread here for everyone to enjoy. So Anwar Musa, in response to calls, for him to meet with KL members of parliament, he says, representatives of the people, including DAP, don't have to wait for meetings. Working for the people doesn't require a lot of bureaucracy. Obviously, in response to criticism, Hannah Yeoh responds, Tan Sri Anwar Musa, please read the joint statement of all our, KL MPs properly. We want the ministerial meetings back that Khalid Samad, the previous Federal Territories Minister, regularly held. So yeah, yeah. Don't be like a cyber trooper, and just basically be a troll. Musa doesn't stop. There are no rules, anywhere that state we must have a ministerial meeting. Maybe you can find some other way. The methods of the Pakatan Harapan, the previous government, have already ended, Yang Berhormat. So maybe, you have to update your mindset for this. And Hannah Yeoh, continues, yeah, you can name it however you want. You can call it like a meeting with the opposition. Promise that meeting with the members of parliament chosen by the people of KL legitimately. I have long ago, risen up. The one the one that hasn't risen up and called for a meeting is the minister. And Anwar Musa doesn't let up. He goes, "Oh yeah, okay, good ideas and proposals. I'll take it, no problem. But if you want to criticize, be prepared to receive, like the tough nails. Me see you in parliament. That is our arena for the people of Sagambut and Katere, which is their respective constituencies." So this is hilarious. I really enjoy it. It is politics as usual, and it's not even that aggressive, but loads of comments, loads of responses. I think that it really gets people going, and I think that's great. I think people should be interested. I think it's very dramatic, but it's very entertaining. One thing that is conspicuously missing, so there's all this controversy going on about the KL Foundation, the Federal Territories Foundation. What's missing here? They're not arguing about the budget. The budget 2021 is I think it's due for a vote on the 25th, so in 3 days' time. But you can see that the opposition, Hannah Yeoh, notably, she's already moved on to other things. So what does this tell you? The budget's likely to pass. There's just it doesn't seem like, there's a real serious criticism. Even the biggest critic, I think, of the budget, Anwar Ibrahim, leader of the opposition, has gone kind of quiet in his criticism. So much so that people can even move on to, criticizing their favorite punching bag, which is my second story. Poor guy, Wan Ahmad Faisal. For a second time now in my YouTube channel, he appears in a story. I actually think he's a smart guy, but no, I don't think his media savvy is that great. But I know that he's smart now because of his very idea. Now let me explain. Wong Chun Wai is the advisor to the Star Media Group, Dato Sri Wong Chun Wai, and he has come out to criticize the Deputy Youth and Sports Minister's idea to print money and give it to the people, uh, as a welfare, welfare measure for the poor, to help people, tide them over this difficult time. Now, the idea on the surface of it, is so for people who don't have an economics background, it sounds a little like unusual. You don't normally hear this idea, so it has the benefit of being a little new, creative, and that's what I want to give credit for, because this idea is indeed very, very out of the norm, but there is precedent for it. Now, the United States has already been printing money, to help save the economy from the crisis, and some wonder how far it can go. The truth is, okay, I won't take you through the whole article, but the summary of it is that it has worked. Yeah, the very idea of it tends to explode the heads of those who say dollars should come from work, savings, and investment instead of thin air. Very, very, very sensible, right? So I wonder, I don't know. Yeah, primary concern, I don't know if the measure has been effective yet. I think it has been effective. So if I'm mistaken, please correct me in the comments. One of the common criticism, the number one criticism of this is that, it creates an inflation risk. If you put a lot of money into the economy, what happens is that everybody has more money. It's just true. Like with more money, and how the government does this, they don't just literally give money to people in the street. You could deposit money into people's bank accounts, as a kind of COVID measure. You could also say, okay, banks, all the banks in Malaysia, all banks around the world, basically, have some amount of money with the central bank of their country, normally. It just is. Then central banks will regularly lend money to banks in the country. So commercial banks, Citibank, or, your local bank, Maybank, CIMB Bank, all those banks. And if the government says, okay, I'll give you money, I'll give you a loan, and with zero interest rate. Okay, you can take this money and go and invest it. You can go and make business loans to people, whatever you want. Then the banks get to decide what they want to do with the money. There are many ways that this can be carried out. I'm just giving a couple of examples. They're not exhaustive. But the outcome will be that this money, the theory goes, it will eventually flow down to the people, who can then use the money to buy, goods, food, services, whatever. And this is important. It is important because right now everybody's not making enough money. Jobs are lost, savings are running low. So this is really important. And the fear is that when you do such a thing, with everybody having more money in hand, what people do in a normal economy is that they'll buy stuff, and because everybody's competing for the limited amount of goods, prices can go up. So vendors, traders will raise prices in response because they realize that demand is really high, and I don't have enough goods to go around. I better raise my prices, and make a little bit more money. Doesn't have to be by a lot, but they do so, and that leads to inflation, which is, in economics terms, good if it's reasonable, if it's kept at a low level, bad if it's very high. So that is the risk. But we're in a very, very non-traditional situation in that we are in a COVID crisis. So in a COVID crisis, we don't actually have the risk of, high inflation. The reason is clear, because we don't have enough goods and services being produced. We don't have enough demand. What happens in a booming economy is that everybody wants to consume more. Everybody wants to get the bigger TV, upgrade their house, upgrade their car, and prices go up. Everybody, and that cycle continues. It feeds on itself. But when everybody's not consuming, they're not buying houses, not buying cars, they may not even have a job. The concern is that everybody stops spending money, holds on to their money for, the absolute necessities. And what happens is that not enough economic activity takes place. So when not enough economic activity takes place, people aren't buying a little bit more goods, a TV or an iPhone. Then what happens is that shops selling these things go bust. So you need, as much as possible to get this fear of spending, I need to overcome it. And if you give people some amount of free money, such that I have a little bit more money, maybe I can actually take my family to a restaurant because we haven't gone in the past 2 months out of fear for our financial situation, and everybody's so stressed out. Let me take them. That actually is a good thing. So Wan Ahmad Faisal has a good idea here. And it is kind of notable that the advisor to the Star Media Group, Dato Sri Wong Chun Wai, came out to criticize him. This is not, a member of the, opposition party. This is a fairly neutral character. So I think it goes to show how much flack Wan Ahmad Faisal has been taking, and how badly his reputation has been hit by a series of, public statements he made that people didn't agree with. The previous one I did a video on was him saying that, he's Malay first of all, and then Malaysian. I think that was taken out of context, just to be clear. And here he is with a good idea, an innovative idea that has worked elsewhere and can work in Malaysia. In fact, this very article mentions that this idea, was carried out in the United States. And Wong Chun Wai says, unlike the United States, they can print dollars because they have demand, and they are often used as the trading currency of the world, and it's the only country that can have a benefit from printing its own money. I think I would disagree, because in Malaysia we also have a pretty robust domestic economy. We grow our own food, we produce plenty of our own goods, and that is important. The money can go towards the food, can go towards supporting our local businesses. So I suppose, maybe he has a point, but it isn't made very well here. He just goes on very general, speaking in generalities, which is not very convincing, I would say. So those are the two stories that I had to share with you today. I think that both of the two stories show that, the news focus is now kind of back to normal, talking about drama, arguments between leaders online. And I want to give special credit that, Wan Ahmad Faisal and Annuar Musa, they've been productive leaders, giving creative ideas, especially Annuar Musa with his free trade zone in Kuala Lumpur going on right now. So I want to say that, if if you ever feel down from reading all the news, I want to tell you, if you look past the headline, it's a good thing. The ministers are coming up with interesting ideas. Some of them are being implemented. And I think in a time of crisis, this is what we need. You need some amount of thinking outside the box. You can't always be following tried and tested ideas, because we are in a totally different situation. There's never been exactly this kind of situation. Recession caused by a pandemic, at least not in modern times, with the internet, with international travel, all these things, all these differences in the world today. So old solutions will not apply here. And I think it's very notable, very praiseworthy. I like what our ministers are doing, and I support them in their work. This is not without qualification, of course. I mean, so long as they continue doing good work, they will have my support, at least, online. So let's look forward to that. And till the next time, take care. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.